Hello everybody, I hope that your day is going good. So we are going to make a few like beginner level earrings for St. Patrick's Day because most places are still in lockdown. Hi Karen. So all you can show about yourself is pretty much your head, so let's make some fancy earrings. That shouldn't be, of course I may be biased because I'm past the beginner level, but I'm going to try to make it as easy for you as possible. Okay, now what I have here, and I'm going to use new clay as well as, you know, scrap clay, just in case you are out of clay, because as everybody in the clay world knows, there's quite a bit of shortage of clay. We are still waiting. Let me actually check for you, even if I did not get any notification. So yes, PolyClay Play has black, which is a good thing because we can do a lot of stuff with black. Premo. And I guess that is it. But the black is on sale, so you might want to, because everything else, so I guess she didn't get. She has glow in the dark, which you don't really need before Halloween. But yeah, I didn't get, and I will post both on the community tab here as well as on Facebook whenever I get the notification. Hi Colleen, hi Judy, hi Sharon, hi Renee, hi Gail, hi Beth. So for the first kind, I am going to make a very quick, and I'm not going to make a lot of it. So I have the new Premo metallic green. This is some white pearl and then some green pearl. All right, so let's grab the metallic, and as I said before many times, do not worry about, let me actually make it a little bit more squarish. Really squarish, but you know, make it in economical sizes. So I'm going to, and this is like to give you an idea, it's like a 3/4 of an inch by 2.5 inches. Okay, hi Sarah. So I'm going to cut this eyeballed in half. And then I'm going to include about 2 millimeters of white, I'm going to try to make it to the same size as the green. And then the same with green pearl, about 2 millimeters. And again, don't sweat it, you can always add a little bit. If you remember, I have in my, if you look in my playlists, I said hi Sarah. If you look in my playlists, I do have a list for beginner techniques, and even if it's an older video and the quality is not that terrific, you can still see there I show how to insert colors when you don't have the colors you need. So I'm going to insert another little white here, and I'll try to make as many variants of earrings as much as my back will allow. Okay, so this is a variant actually on that shamrock. I did a, don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, a shamrock cane, and I thought I had one, but I guess I don't, so I'm going to go back, and after this live is over, I'm going to make a playlist with everything St. Patrick that I have out. Okay, so I got my whole thing here. I'm going to narrow it a little bit and then go with my roller over it. Why I'm doing that? Just because I want these lines to be well stuck to each other so they don't start separating while I'm making the Skinner blend. And this will be a line gradient. Now we call it a Skinner blend even if it's not always the Skinner technique that we use, because right now I'm not using the Skinner technique. The Skinner technique was invented by Judith Skinner back in the day, in the 80s, and it involves the triangles. Any other technique of mixing colors, even if we still say I'm doing a Skinner blend, actually we are doing a gradient. A gradient is the passing from one color to the other. And you have diffuse gradients where the passage, the color between the whole passage between one color and the other is long, or you can have more linear gradients like this one where they are pretty much lines with very little lines of color with very little gradient between them. So we are going to do a linear gradient, and I'm trying to keep my clay line on line. Now don't forget, this is a metallic pearlescent. Hi Jessica. I do expect, now why I put the white between the darker green and the green pearl, because my intention is to get a diffuse gradient between the green pearl and the darker green, but the green pearl is a little bit too bright for a shamrock, so I'm trying to diffuse it, to pastelize it if you want. So I'm going to do this until you won't be able to tell much of any white being there. So I'm doing this several times before getting to the machine, because rolling makes the whole blending much faster, the whole gradienty thing much faster. Okay. And now I'm going to get it through the machine at 2 different settings. First a thicker setting, then a thinner setting, so that I can do a much better roll. Okay? So, there we go. Thick setting. Thinner setting. I'm skipping 2 settings. Let's actually go even 2 more. And let's bring it back to the thickest. And as you can see, I'm already starting to get a little bit gradienty thing here. Being a linear one, I don't want to keep these end, because if you can see this, in this end the white went too much in the dark green. Hi Hermie, hi Ellen. So I'm going to put it aside, and I'm going to do the same with the, no, actually with this other end I don't need to, but let's go again, trying to relatively keep the lines. You don't have to go too retentive about it, okay? I don't dare to say bad words, because YouTube's been very, very bad about banning and stuff, so, and the word wouldn't have a lot of So I'm going to do this a few more times. Actually, just one more time should be enough. After which I'm going to be able to start folding it properly. Okay, this time it doesn't need to go to get cut. Rolling also takes care, because one of the banes of doing a gradient is when you start getting ragged edges. That takes care of that. Okay, so as it's getting softer and softer, just be very careful, because whenever you're rolling, you're going to trap air. That is a given. Okay, so I said we are going to do folding. And I'm not going to cut this one this time, because I want a little bit of penetration in the green, in the darker green. Okay, now let's go entirely on the machine. Okay, and we are pretty good at this point with what I actually want to achieve. Going to still thin it out a little bit. Narrow it, not thin it. Narrow it a little bit. And then get it on a thin setting. Thank you. And here you're going to start seeing your air bubbles, if they are trapped or not. So let's get it on a thin setting. And you don't have to go crazy about how thin your setting is. Right, so, and you can measure here. I'm just going to eyeball. I have a pretty good eyeball when it comes to 1 inch, generally speaking. Let's see, let me check myself. See, I'm good. I eyeball good. I am. Okay, so yes, I'm going to cut this one too, but I don't have room right now. Now, you know that I always prefer to do this kind of stuff with the stacking instead of fan folding, but this is specifically important when you're working on a Skinner blend that was made with metallics or pearlescents, because remember, when you fold, the mica particles direction changes, so you're gonna get some effects that you might not want. Okay, let's get this end here. That one was a little bit too large. It's going to be just fine now, I can assure you. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now is to, again, because of the mica particle thingy. I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to reduce, but not like this. I'm going to reduce like this because I don't want to get the dull part. Of course you can do with the dull part if you absolutely want to, but I'd rather have this properly worked. Okay, so first we triangularize it. And besides, it's not like it's a realistic one. We made the realistic ones in past years. Okay, so right now we are not making the realistic ones. So I have a triangle now, and out of this triangle I'm going to make a little heart I roll the edges, these edges, very nicely and gently. So now I have pretty much like a petal. And then I'm going to look for something that I can, let me see, what can I use? A popsicle stick. Let's fix it right in the middle here. Oh, I rolled the wrong part. I was going to stick it in the wrong side. Okay, you need to stick it right here, right? Hey, this doesn't work, it doesn't stand up. Let me try and think of what I can use. Right. I have stuff to use, but I don't want you to have to look for it. It's the idea is that you can make stuff that is easily made with whatever you have, so it's fairly good. Okay, now let's grab a little bit of, and you can use just plain old scrap clay for this. Alright, so I have just some plain old scrap clay, and you can use whatever texture you want. So this is one of Helen Braille's. Because I want it to be textured on both sides, but it doesn't really matter how well you texture it or not. Okay, you just put a little bit of texture there. And then I have to get up because I forgot to get the round thingy. There we go. Now, this you can make it two-faced. Okay, you can put one on each side. I mean, you can make one side and then just glue them together. Or you can make it like I'm making it now, with just one face. On the face that you're going to place your shamrock on, you'll have to apply some wax ahead of time. The other one can be used after. Okay, and you can add mica powder, you can add acrylic, you can add, this is the metallic. The Art Alchemy metallic wax. Let me clean my finger. And then comes the harder part, and that is to cut slices, and it's going to look very pretty, I promise you that. There they are. I'm looking for my eyeglasses. Always place it on the side when you cut, and switch the sides as you cut the slices, but don't do like I do, start cutting right after you made it. Let it sit or put it in the fridge for like 10 minutes. And you want to cut about 1 millimeter thick slices. And because you have kept the face, the shiny part, it's going to give you some chatoyancy. Okay, this is way too thick. What the heck am I cutting them on this side? I'm cutting them wrong. There we go. There. And then all you have to do, you can of course flatten them a little bit if you want to with a ball stylus. So I'm using Armor All on my palm and on the ball stylus. Yes, I just love them myself too. And you want to go pretty much mostly on the two little heart points. Not the whole leaf. Yeah, they might not be perfect, but they will look gorgeous, I promise you that. Make sure that your ball stylus is always a little wet with Armor All so it wouldn't start sticking to the clay. And then you very nice and gently place your shamrock. I usually go first with the face to face, and then I place the other two. Because if I go clockwise or counterclockwise, I might not place them there perfectly. And there you go. Now, how can you attach this to a ear wire? Simply, you can simply dig a hole here and then attach a jump ring and then attach it to the ear wire. But this is one idea of shamrock for St. Patrick's Day earrings. Another one, for the other one, I'm going to actually grab most of this. I said most of it, not all of it, and reuse it. Of course, you can use just a combination. Just mix a little bit of the dark green. If you don't have the new metallics, now, if you don't have the new metallics, mix in the green pearl, a pinch of jungle, or even a grain of black and a grain of ultramarine, and you'll get a color fairly similar to the darker green metallic. So what I'm doing right now is just to mix the colors. Hi Skywalker. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm still catching up on stuff. I'm still suffering. I'm back to my normal level of fatigue now. All the fatigue from the vaccine is gone. And we are going to be almost good to go. There's still a little bit of mixing, but at this point I'm going to get it through the machine because what I need is the mica sheen. Okay, so okay, with this second one, and you can do it even with just the plain green or just the plain dark metallic, I'm going to do a little bit of mica shift, and I'm going to use earrings. I don't know, it's always somebody's telling me when I write earrings, I'm getting messages, you're supposed to say earrings. When I'm writing earrings, I'm getting messages, you're supposed to say earrings. So, oh well. I can tell you that sometimes as a non-native speaker, sometimes the English language makes me laugh. And when I was, yeah, I know you love me. When I was a child and I started learning English, it was like 7 years old, because I started learning French when I was 3.5 years old, and English when I was like 8. And I know that there were some of the English words that were cracking me up, but you have to think, I mean, and later as an adult, when I discovered Piers Anthony's series Xanth, I was like, now see, somebody who understands me, because there were words like butterfly, like, what is that? Is that a fly made of butter? Where did the word come from? You know, I mean, it's like, for a child, it's mind-boggling. I could understand the dragonfly because, yeah, it might look like a miniature dragon, but you know, the other stuff was like butterfly. What does that mean? Okay, now, what the heck, I got something in my eye. Now I have the Kemper cutters in the heart, and I'm going to place first the larger one. This is not the largest, okay? I have 3, I actually have 4 sizes, so I'm going to use not the largest, but the next one and then the tiniest ones, and I'm going to use the larger one of all of them. Thank you, Anne. I can speak with an Oklahoma accent if you want me to. I don't know how you're gonna like it though. Yeah, all my friends are telling me never lose your accent because it's so interesting. Okay. Funny part is when I first came to the States, I was speaking pretty much British English. And I had a lot of issues understanding people, especially people from around the Red River and southeast Oklahoma. you know, when you have the accent from southern Oklahoma mixing with the accent of Texas and with a little bit of influences from Arkansas, and I could not understand those people at all. And it was at one point I was working at the Air Force Base, and this guy comes. He was a retired colonel, and I found out later that he was also an avid hunter, and he was going hunting with his friends, and then he would mount, you know, the deer antlers, the trophy. He would mount them on plaques and engrave, get little plates engraved and all that. And I had us under my supervision. Yeah, I heard her. The skills development, the trophy shop in the skills development center, and I was working actually with laser engravers and all kinds of fantabulous stuff, which in 2000 was like top of the line. Okay, but anyway, so he comes and he started telling me what he wanted, and I was looking at him like a chicken looks in the sack of wood. And I see my director coming in the shop, you know, when she just stood by the door to let me finish what I was doing with him. And in the end, smart, okay? In the end, sir, let me get you a piece of paper, and then you can write down exactly what you want me to engrave on that little plate. And he writes it down, and he's all happy, you know, and he's he leaves. I tell him when he can come pick it up, and he leaves. And then I look at my director. Her name was Gay. She was adorable. And no, don't mistake it. It's a completely different Southern accent. And actually, Southern accents are of several kinds. Anyway, so I look at my director and I say, Gay, I am so sorry, but I could not understand what he was saying. I know that it's my English, because it was like the year 2000. I had 2001. No, 2001. I had only been here for like barely 2 years. And she's like, girl, I've been born in Oklahoma, I've been raised in Oklahoma, and I lived all my life in Oklahoma, and I couldn't get a lick of what he was saying. So, yeah. Okay, so let's get back to this. So I'm going to first place the larger Kemper cutter heart, and I'm not going to go very deep. I'm going to go about, I don't know, let's say at most 2 millimeters. And another thing, if you want the whole thing to be even better, and I'll show you afterwards, I'll redo this, you can use cling wrap. Okay, this will give you pretty sharp lines. The cling wrap will make more of a combination mica shift and mokumegane. So this is just plain mica shift. And again, I'm gonna go, because I told you I have issues with this thing. So yeah, you kind of need to leave them a little bit farther apart than what I did here, but I promise the second one I'll do better. And then start with the larger ones, because if you start with a smaller one, it's going to be hard for you to figure out where to place this. But if you start with the larger one, it's kind of easy to place it so that you'll have a relatively equal band around it. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? I mean, yeah, you can waste your time to make it absolutely perfect, but it doesn't have to. Nobody's gonna see it, especially on a video chat. And even in real life, Nobody comes to look at your earrings from half an inch away. Okay, now the smaller one. As I said, I'm gonna do this again with the cling wrap and I'll make a better job. Alright, now remember that you can get these, the large one and the large one I use for mica shift and mokumegane and stuff, and the small one for cutting cane slices. And you can find this with Trish at PolyClay Play. And don't forget to use my affiliate link, because that allows me to not just buy materials but also give you all those awesome giveaways, right? Okay, so I'm going to gently shave some of this. Actually, let me wipe down with Armor All. Wiping down your blade with Armor Roll will make it go much smoother. And the same, another thing, the same as for cutting cane slices, it helps if you let, after you do your imprint, if you let your clay either sit for a little bit or you put it in the fridge for 10 minutes, you're going to be able to shave much easier without any kind of dragging and stuff. And there you'll have a nice mica shift. And what you want to do after that is to gently burnish. Remember, first use your finger and always use wax paper, never use printing paper, for two reasons. Because number one, printing paper will leach a little bit your clay, and number two, it's not transparent, so you won't be able to see what you're doing, while the wax paper, where you have areas that are below, will not stick to the clay, so you'll see whitish areas. I mean, it's very, very mild here, but there are a few whitish lines here, so that tells me that I need to insist in certain areas. And then again, I'm using my tiny, I can tell you that I'm using this tiny acrylic block more than I use the larger ones, because it's so neat. So we have a nice mica shift here. Now let's do this again, and this time let's do it with a cling wrap. And actually I was thinking, let's get it another notch, and after this I'll show you. I'm gonna actually make a combination mokumegane and mica shift. Alright, remember, your thing whenever you're using cling wrap is to not allow any wrinkles to form on the surface of the clay, because those wrinkles will stay there. But the burnishing part is very important, because the better you burnish, the less you're going to have to sand. It's going to be almost perfectly pretty. Okay, Now I'm going to do the same thing, and this time I'm going to leave more room. There we go. Much better, huh? And then the next one. And you don't have to look on all sides pretty much. Just the one side and the bottom will tell you if you're approximately correct. But again, you don't have to be super exceptionally worried about it. It's going to still show whatever you're trying to show. All right. Next, once again, we're gonna shape. Hi, Brenda. Too deep on the right side. I could feel it. I personally prefer to use the cling wrap because it allows me to control a little bit, not to go too deep and get to actually cut the card, you know. Okay, pretty good now. Let's do the burnishing again. And see here now, I'm going to try to see the little white lines. That shows me exactly where I didn't, where it's below the whole thing. Hi Gayleen. Bye Jessie. Hi Janine. So I'm going to first press down with my acrylic block and then start burnishing, and let's do more burnishing. Now you have several options on how you want to do this. You can simply use a round cutter, or you can do it on the bottom of one of these, you know, make a longer thing and then place this on the bottom of it. Or you can follow the little hearts, or you can simply do it in a squarish pattern. But you're going to get a lot of pretty chatoyant stuff forming the shape of the, what the heck, of the shamrock. So once you bake this, you can sand it a little bit, and then of course you can buff it, or you can place some varnish on it, and then just poke a hole here with the jump ring, and you have a nice earring. That's what I like about on the Premo pearlescence, because you can see the effects even before it's baked. Now let's do the other trick. I guess I didn't get more. Just a second. I'm gonna get a little bit more dark blue, dark green, and a little bit more green. And you want to have about half the amount of your mix. This is a little bit more than half. Oh, thank you. So now this is pretty much half. Let me see if I have to cut more. Yeah, a little bit more. Oops. I discovered that my table has a little incline, and I guess one of the legs is shorter, much shorter than, not much, but a little shorter than the others. This was a custom made table that I bought from somebody on Facebook Market, and it's super heavy, it's all tiled, and it's exactly what I was looking for. Only that it's made out of real wood, so it's very, very heavy. So I'm going to have to ask my neighbor who comes to help me do things, see which of the legs we can lift a little bit. Actually, I would go with Cernit when it comes to pearls. Right now they beat Premo. And also, in case you weren't aware, and you can find that on my website on kalyanadesign.com, some of the Pardo jewelry clay, some of the colors are pearlescent. The thing is with the Pardo, because the mica particles are so much finer than what is used in any other clay, the mica shift effects is very, very subtle, which on the other hand, it's absolutely fabulous when you want to make a forged gemstone that involves chatoyancy. Okay, now let's get these approximately evenly shaped. Again, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And you don't even have to get your, don't get your clay to make the sheen, okay? You want it to be like this, all messed up, because it's going to make a prettier effect. Okay, so we just stack. Now remember, whatever you cut off, you can reuse by making your a new color of pearlescent. I told you, when I separate my scrap clay, I separate it by colors, and this is why I have some of the prettiest pearlescent colors. Let me actually show you. Let me see which of them is it. Whenever I mixed different colors, I have the prettiest. These are all pearlescents. Some I made for various things. Yes, even the blues are pearlescent. Various shades of green. So yeah, you might want, sometimes I'm getting some colors that I wish I could remember what I had in them, because I would like to repeat, but yeah, those are great too. Okay, now Remember, whenever you flatten your mokumegane, don't forget to flip it over, because otherwise the top layer will get much wider than the other layers. Okay, so I'm going to get it through the machine on the thickest setting. And then I'm going to eyeball it to stack it 3 times. And then spread it that way. So I had about 1 inch of each. Okay, and now we can go again at it. Place on top the mix, not the pure color. Place on top the mix. And make sure it's well stuck to whatever you're working it on. And let's do that again. Now this time you don't really care much about the wrinkles, because it's going to add some extra chatoyancy. Thank you, Susan. So okay, again we start with the largest ones. And you can keep checking to figure out what's the best distance between them. I knew at one point, but I guess it's been so long since I did. It's been a year since I did the last St. Patrick's Day stuff. I forgot. And the tiny one. And now we shave. And it all depends on what are the... Of course, you can use this by placing it inside out, right? But yeah, it's going to look a little bit like malachite. By the way, I have to show you, because I've been doing a tutorial on how to get malachite effect doing mogumegane. You don't have to do all that. I mean, of course, it's not going to be as realistic as, but actually I think it's pretty good the way it is. But you can get the malachite effect using just mogumegane. The trick is in the colors. And somebody asked me once, I've seen faux malachite done with more that's all full green, and I've seen faux malachite done with stuff that's a little bit more blue. Which is the actual realistic one? And well, the pure malachite is green. It's got that green malachite green color. There are some varieties of malachite, depending on the mine, that do have a bluish tint. They go more towards a little bit of a teal, but those are the ones that have what's called pseudomorph. A pseudomorph mineral is when you have one mineral that's got a specific type of forming, of crystallization. Like, for example, the malachite has a type that's called botyroidal, and so it crystallizes in little balls. And there you have little spheres, and it's just layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And that's why when you cut it, depending on how big that bubble was, You can get the little circles. No, not azurite. It's chrysocolla, not azurite. No matter what, it matters depending on how big that and how close it's cut to the center of that bubble. You're gonna have little circles, or you might have just little lines. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to get on showing you the display. Okay, so see, this is a very good example. This is kind of like half cut through the bubbles, and the same goes for this one. But if it is a larger bubble and you get the cabochon cut from farther away from the bubble, you're going to get lines. If they are more tiny bubbles, I'm actually trying to find the specimen to show you how the botyroidal, see, this is a good example. It's like a bubble, there you go. It's like a bubble mass. Now here is an azurite, but when it is azurite, it's clearly azurite. The color is blue, and you can have inclusions, or you can have, like in this case, azurite pseudomorphed. That means that the mineral that is invading starts imitating the crystallization pattern of the host mineral. In this case, the azurite pseudomorphed after malachite. While when you have inclusions, see, this is a pseudomorph, because you can see how the azurite follows the same botyroidal patterns. But when you have inclusions, it will look more like this. This is a combination of azurite and malachite. But the ones with with a slightly bluish, like this one, this does have a certain amount of chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is more turquoisish, while azurite is strong blue, but it's still pure malachite. The amount of chrysocolla is very, very low, but you can see the color difference. This is a more pure, just malachite. Like here you can see this is malachite green. This is a malachite chrysocolla type. And sometimes they can be a little bit, you can see better areas with just pure malachite, and areas with more chrysocolla, but there will not be a huge difference. The other thing is that whenever you have, if you want to try and do one of these azurite pseudomorph into malachite, the thing that you don't want to do is to add azurite circles, blue circles, because the inner core of the circles will be the host mineral, so it would be the malachite. So when you have an azurite pseudomorph, it will be only in the outer layers, like it's very clearly shown here. You will never have a center of blue surrounded by green, because it's not the malachite invading the azurite, it's the azurite invading the malachite, if that makes sense. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of joint pain. I had a little bit, and it was done. It was only for a few hours. Okay, I didn't cut this very good. So there we go. We have a combination of mica shift and Moku Megane, that again is going to look like a shamrock. Now if you want to make the shamrock illusion even better, you can also add this, you know. And then another thing you can do is to actually cut the corners here. And there you go, you have a completely different, okay, I messed up my, never mind, a completely different shape of earring. All right, now let's do something else, and I'll try to make that one the last one because I've been on for an hour. I'm amazed my back doesn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. Let me mix this real quick. And you can use, for this one, you can use the tiniest cutter of the Kemper. Yeah, I love pseudomorphs in asbestos. Kind of like, you know, the tiger's eye is practically crystalline asbestos, and when you have all kinds of pseudomorphs in tiger eye, this is where you get the number one, the tiger iron, and that's when you get the maramamba, and that's where you get the when it's a combination of pseudomorphs, you get the petersite. So it's really, really neat. But yeah, there are quite a bit of the pseudomorph thing was, to me, it was like, you know, when you move into a different region, you have to adapt to the law of the land, pretty much, for me, you know, that's how I understood it the best. When it was explained to me, you have to adapt. You cannot do the same things if you live in Florida that you did in Alaska, right? It makes sense. Okay, now these are adorable, but you will have a little bit of, I mean, depends on how small you make them, obviously. So I'm going to zoom a little bit, and we're gonna make leprechaun hats. How does that sound? All right. So, and you don't have to use the pearlescent. I just don't want to break the other clay. As I said, I'm starting to hurt a little bit. Okay, so first make a cylinder. Make sure that you make it properly. And depending on how large you want it, your earrings to be, but I can tell you that tiny ones look better, and you can actually hang two of them on two different chains of different lengths, right? And it's going to look adorable. Okay, now let me get it a little bit longer. And cut it in half for two earrings. Just make sure they are nice and round and pretty. Then you want this a little bit thinner. You don't want it on the thickest setting. You want it just a bit thinner. Actually, I need another Kemper because this is too big. Or you can use the itty bitty if you don't have money for the campers, for this one you can use the BT clay. Okay, and just choose the largest one, so you have to make it a little bit smaller than this. Let me get the camper. I mean, you have to make them smaller. I'm not gonna use these because it would be way too small to show you, okay? So I'm gonna use the camper. All right. And then, obviously, going to place these. Let me adjust my. Yeah, one of the most beautiful pieces I've seen. I mean, I've seen both the St. Petersburg malachite room and the malachite room in the Chapultepec Castle in Mexico City. It should be a little bit smaller. The most impressive feat that I've seen, I'm talking about malachite, is the fireplace in the Chapultepec Castle. It was absolutely fabulous. Cut them the same size, and there we go, and then we place them on the try to place them in the middle as good as you can. Now, for better handling of all this, I would suggest that you first bake the tops and then you add the hat border. And you'll see in a minute why. Because what you want to do is to gently squeeze the hat border a little bit so that it wouldn't be perfectly flat. Remember, I drop things. Same for this other one. And on this one, you obviously need an eye screw to put it straight through the middle of the hat. But you do a little leprechaun hat. The next thing you do, let me find it. I know I had a piece here. I left myself a piece of black clay here. A smidgen. Alright, let's pretend this is black, okay? We're gonna pretend this is black. Even if it's blue. Because again, I'm kinda hurting and I don't want to start getting up and down. And just grab one. And give it a little hat band. But remember, use black. That's important. And then another thing that you can do is grab the tiny camper, okay, I didn't have to get them together. Got 4 of these. Oh, it's here. It flew away and I didn't find it. Okay, let me grab it. Oh, where's my needle? I always lose stuff on my table. Always, always. It's a given. Okay, we can use a toothpick. And there you go. You get a little leprechaun hat with a little shamrock. And again, you put a nice screw here and you let it dangle. So there we go. I'll see how much I managed to get caught up on stuff, because I'm still working on that box, as I said yesterday. It's going to be but I had laundry to do and other stuff this morning. It's going to be an Art Nouveau. Let me remove the zoom. And I decided I'm going to separate it in 2 parts. Number 1 to be how to actually make the box, and I want to make several box making tutorials just for the base box, how to create different sizes, because you don't always find the tin boxes, you don't always want the tin boxes to be in there. But yeah, this I'm going to make it, you know, the specific Art Nouveau with, I'm not sure yet, because they are both very, very used in Art Nouveau, the butterfly and the dragonfly. So we'll see what I'm going to use. But what I want to show you, and talking of which, these are made with all kinds of mousse rings, and I will show you where you can find them on my influencer store. You can get to my influencer store if you go to my, hold on, let me show you. So if you go to my channel and you go to about, if you're not used to my channel, right, and you go to about and you go down, scroll down, and it's going to be Amazon influencer store. And here look for baking blanks, because I tried to, I'm spending several hours a week updating this. Sometimes I'm still a little bit behind because they change stuff, but I try to keep it very well organized. And we are looking for baking blanks right here. And yeah, I do have a lot of stuff there. I'm trying to cover up whatever you might need. So in the baking blanks, there's this one that's got several sizes. Then the one that I did this on, I'm not sure if it was, no, this is a round one, because you can get them in round mousse rings. When I switch back to the camera, I'll show you. But there's also a full set of 8 that I need to put back because it wasn't there, with various shapes, and I need to show you that, because what I want to show you is not just how to make this kind of box, you know, when the top goes inside, and you're not worried that it's going to just, if you just touch it, it's going to go off. But I want to show you how to make various shapes of boxes, and also boxes with hinges that you can open pretty much like this. And of course will not have this much of this, it's going to have a magnet. But yeah, see, there's all kinds of shapes, and I found these mousse rings that are of different sizes and are exceptional to make bangles on. They are very tall, of course, but you can find them, as I said, you can find them. Give me just a second. Like, see, this is a much smaller size. You can find them in all kinds of sizes. This is more for a child than for an adult, but if you're doing stuff for children, this would be good. But this is also good for, I didn't get this for bracelets, I got this for hoops. So now you know. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy trying a few of these ideas I've shown you. And remember, I will get online Friday because it's going to be my birthday. I will definitely get online on YouTube. Depending on how I feel, I might make a chat room on Facebook so I can celebrate with y'all, even with the lockdown and the COVID. Okay, thank you so much. If you just found my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to catch up and start re-uploading videos, but in the meantime I do have a live tutorial every Sunday at 12:30 Central. And don't forget, next Sunday we're gonna have the time change, right? It's going to be the 14th, and it's going to be the time change when I'll finally wake up at 6 o'clock, not at 5. I never, for the last few years, I cannot get back to the winter time. I mean, I wake up at 6 o'clock in summer and 5 o'clock in winter. So, oh well. Thank you. And I shall see you on Friday. Have a great, great, great day. Bye.